there was a whole room here. Hi. Okay, so I'm a new mother, right? I have a baby, and let me be the first to admit that it is the most tiring, most exhausting, probably the most grueling experience of my life, but it's also the most rewarding and the most beautiful experience of my life. But most importantly for me, I think that it's changed my worldview. I see things differently now. You know, it's exciting to watch him look at his own hands. He would do this with his hand. He'll look at his hand and turn it around and look at it again, and he's fascinated and amazed by his own hand, and he would touch his hand with the other hand and feel it. And I sit and I watch him, and I realize how perhaps we take the very little things for granted, and perhaps those are the things that really matter, which is what I want to talk about today. When we say taking a bold step, instinctively, all our minds go to the big steps, you know, the big things. So I could tell you about my personal story. I could tell you about how I left Zenith Bank to go back to school. Now, if you live in Ghana and you understand our economy and you understand how it works, you know that when you get a job in the bank, you don't quit, right? So I could talk to you about that, about the fact that at some point in my life, and John Dumelo, you may not remember this, but you were my customer at Zenith Bank Islegon branch. Yes. And I was literally dying at that job because I'm not a, you know, and at some point I just said to myself, this is not where I want to be. I want to be a lawyer. And so I quit the job and I went back to school. We'll come back to that, but I want to talk about little steps first. You see, I want us to remember that when we talk about taking a bold step, it's not a one-off activity. It's not something you just one day get up and do. It's a journey. It's a build-up. It's every decision you take every single day, every choice you make, every decision you make, every book you've ever read, every person you've ever met, every experience you've had that culminates into that one big defining step when the time is right. And so everything we do, all that we do, perhaps is building us up to that destination. So that if you've taught yourself the importance of time, we all say this, that Ghanaman's time, it's frustrating. It really is. You know, if we've taught ourselves the essence of time, and I'll go back to the example of my baby. You would see him trying to get up. So this young guy would, you know, starts by moving on his stomach, moving his body around, you know, trying to hold on to something. It'll probably take him a long time. He'll fall down, he'll get frustrated, he'll cry a little. I'll just leave him, I'll just be watching him. He'll cry a little, he'll get up again, he'll, you know, hold on to something. And eventually when he's able to hold something and stand on his own, the joy on his face, the excitement, you know, that little thing, that's him taking that bold step. Eventually he will walk. But he didn't just get up one day to walk. It's all those falling down, crawling on his stomach, holding on to something, just standing on his feet that would eventually get him to that stage where he can confidently walk. And this is why I talk about hard work all the time. And I don't take these opportunities for granted because as young people, we need to share ideas and we need to encourage ourselves as much as we can. And for me, hard work is not, it's always up there. It's always an idea. Oh, hard work. But realistically, if we are bringing it down to our everyday life situations, what does hard work mean? What does it do for you? I think, and this is my idea, of course, I think that hard work builds confidence. It builds confidence. It builds pride. So you are confident in yourself, confident in your abilities, you know your weaknesses, and you are confident in your little victories. And how do you take a bold step? Obviously, the word bold, it comes with buzzing, it comes with courage, it comes with fearlessness, all of that. But you need that confidence to make that bold step. And so having confidence in yourself which I believe comes from working hard, being a hard worker, and taking pride in your hard work and building your confidence, I think is crucial. Even if it's unrelated to you eventually being able to take a bold step when the time is right. Let's say this. We live in a cultural setup. Every society is culture. Now we could go back to our secondary school definition of culture and say that culture is the way of life of a people, right? That's what they taught us in secondary school. But it is true. It is the way of life of a people today, not yesterday. Because immediately when we think about culture, as African people, our minds go back to wearing cloth, and all the things we used to do in the past. But that's not our culture. Our culture is our way of life today. And so we are cultural beings. We are cultural beings. Our decisions, our activities are informed by the society in which we find ourselves. And so, for instance, if it's a decision, the speaker before me, John, he said that, he took a decision to leave the US and come back to Ghana and start a business. Now, he can't take that decision by himself because he's a cultural being. And so, whether we like it or not, the society in which we find ourselves makes influences in the decisions that we make. But here's the beauty of all of it, is that it's you. Culture should be you affecting society positively. It's how you live your life today. And I say this all the time, if as young people we collectively decide to change our society and change our culture, guess what? We can. We can. We can decide for ourselves what Ghana Man time is. Yes, we can decide what Ghana Man time is. Forget that yesterday Ghana Man time meant that if you are told to come to a place at 2, you should get there at 4. Well, today we could decide that Ghana Man time means that when you are told to get to a place at 2, you get there at 12. It's us. And the decisions that we make every day taking us to our destination. Now, let's talk about this. As somebody who interviews people, I dedicate Fridays to interviewing personalities. I say winning personalities. And I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of our young entrepreneurs, people who are doing great things, doing wonderful things. I've spoken to Nyonyo. How many of you know Nyonyo Ghana? She deals in food. Yes, we all know her. Great. Okay, and she said to me, she worked in HR. She was an HR executive. And, she was dying in that position. One morning, she just said, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to cook and sell food. That's a bold decision. But she did not arrive there in a day. No. It's years of everything else. Now she's doing great, right? And there's one question I ask all of them all the time. I ask them, is it pain? Because yes, we see the Instagram posts, right? And we see the trips to Dubai and all of that. But is it what it is? Is it actually pain? And every one of them says to me all the time that yes, it is pain. Who would have thought that quitting a corporate job, working in HR, wearing her suit and all of that every day, quitting that, getting into the kitchen to cook would pay her more than her HR job. Let's talk about DJ Adam. How many of you know DJ Adam? DJ Adam. How many of you know him? He's one of the celebrity, yeah, thank you. Same story. He went to the best schools in Fansipim, all of that, went to university, and he left all of that behind to become a DJ. We don't do that often, do we? Guess what? He's excelling. And he says, I'm not boasting, but I'm making a lot of money. It took a bold step. Who else? Let's talk about Royalty by Nanase. He's been with 2 banks. Now he's making clothes. I could give other examples. I could give the mobile bar. Same story. How many of you know the mobile bar? She's oh, great. All of us know her. She's catering to all of our weddings now. Everything. Same story. But it's a destination. And sometimes you need to take calculated risk and weigh your options. And look at all the things that you could not do, all of that before you take that decision. I would say this about Royalty by Nanase. In his instance, he has not yet quit the job. You see, He's doing both. Now, even that is a risk in itself. And of course, that doesn't come easy. Having a regular 5 to sometimes 9 job as a bank staff, and also having a whole clothing line. Now he caters to Kwame Despite. If you go on his Instagram page, that is, he's sold for our presidents, the past presidents, all of them. And it takes dedication, it takes being out there and combining all of that with your bank job. That can't be easy. So again, we go back to the issue of hard work and dedication and all of that. Let's talk about, because I'm female, I do that all the time when I go somewhere. A concept like, oh goodness, my time's up. Okay, concepts like feminism. Let's talk about something like that. When you talk about, people say, oh, the average Ghanaian woman is not in any kind of bondage. There's equality and then there's equity too. So what are you talking about? Well, you make the flip example of the black man and how he feels. And so there are systematic issues. There are structural issues, but those are not the real issues. The real issues, I always say, are in culture and human interaction. It's not about the laws. The laws are up there in the skies. It's me and you and how we deal with each other. And so something like feminism, an issue like that, something like leadership and all of these things are not about the laws that we have at any particular time. It's about me and you. Because when you take, before I did this, I just checked, all the countries that we have in Africa and the laws that they have concerning, issues like feminism and youth leadership and all of that. They are great laws on paper. And if you are going to make your arguments based on what's on paper, you don't have an argument. Because on paper, there's no discrimination, there's nothing. But that's not the issue. It's cultural, it's interpersonal, it's us. And if we as young people gathered here in this room decide that we've had enough and want to change the status quo, guess what? We can change the status quo. And that's, for me, is the whole essence of taking a bold step. Appreciating every situation the way it is. If it's about your personal life, it's about you, where you work, what you do. Appreciating the situation for itself, what it is. Appreciating what it is. Deciding for yourself to take a step out of that situation and actually just doing it. If it's about a bigger issue in our society, let's talk about maternity issues. Well, appreciating the situation, thinking outside the box, and taking a step about it. The possibilities are endless. Because I'm being signaled my time is up, let me just say this. Africa is not for sissies. It's not. Our continent is hard. Let's appreciate what is. And of course, please, the context in which I use the word, I use the word in a, Africa is not for the weak-hearted. You have to be bold. To get on the trotro, there's a struggle to get into the trotro. It's not a place for, being bougie. It's a hard place. And so we take bold decisions, knowingly or unwillingly, every day. So why not be conscious about it? And why not extend it to everywhere else? What are we waiting on leadership for? We are the leaders. It's us. So I will say this. The Africa that we had yesterday, we have today, we will have tomorrow, because our Africa is Africa. Here we know our place, right? It is for the courageous, the bold, resilient, competent you and me. And the first speaker, Professor, I think it was the second speaker who said that Will Smith had said that Africa is heaven. Well, we can make it the heaven it can be. Let's be realistic, right? We can't make it the heaven it can be through our bold, everyday, small decisions that would make the big difference. Thank you so much.